welcome to a very special bonus episode of the Classical Pairings Host Challenge brought to you by the National Bank of Indianapolis. I'm your host, Nick Johnson, and this week we are talking one of my very favorite things, and that is Gen Con. Before I even moved to Indianapolis, I would come to Gen Con as often as I could. It's how I first got to know the city, and now that I live here, it is quite literally my favorite time of the year. And that's because my three favorite things are board games, music, and cocktails. And so today we're going to talk about how to combine all those in a fun way for your own board game night, or if you pick up a game at Gen Con and you take it home, or if you're not going to Gen Con but you just want to enjoy some games with your friends and your family, we're going to talk about how to make that happen. As I said, this is in fact one of my favorite things. I'm actually designing my own music history card game. It's called Impresario. You can look it up on impresariothegame.com. This is a passion of mine that I have pursued for a very long time. And one of the things we've been starting to do for a while is whenever we host a board game night, we think about how can we make this a little unique, a little more fun. And one of the ways we tend to do that is by first thinking about, okay, what music are we going to have playing in the background? So if we're doing a party game like Exploding Kittens, a strategy game like Pandemic or Terra Mystica, a role-playing game like Dungeons and Dragons, what kind of music do we want in the background that's going to be sort of bringing us all together in this sort of otherworldly experience? And then second, what do we want to be drinking while we're playing? We need a drink that is fun, enjoyable for everybody, but also not too strong so that people remembers whose turn it is once you're still an hour into the game. So with that in mind, today I'm being challenged by local composer Eric Salazar. He'll actually be performing several times at Gen Con if you happen to be there. Eric has worked on a lot of music written specifically to accompany board games and role-playing games. And so he sent me the piece Coming Home. This is from his RPG Music Volume 1. He has 2 of these volumes on Spotify that you can listen to now. And so I listened to the song Coming Home to come up with a fun cocktail that would match this music playing in the background of your own game session or your own role-playing game session. The music itself is very sort of fun, it's otherworldly, it's atmospheric, it's the kind of music that sort of puts you in a different sort of reality for a minute to sort of make the gaming experience even more sort of immersive. So to come up with a cocktail for this, I have 2 goals. First of all, we're thinking about how to make a goal for board game night. If you've watched my show before, you know that I tend to make really booze-heavy cocktails that have 8 steps. They take forever to make. They're perfect for a fun night for yourself and your partner or something like that. But if you're hosting a board game night and you've got 4 to 6 people over, you don't want to be making super fancy craft cocktails. So I'm wanting something that's kind of fun and something that's quick, something that's not too boozy so that the game can keep going. And then also something that's going to be a bit of a crowd pleaser. So I didn't want to use peaty scotch or rye whiskey or something bitter like Campari. I mean, I love these things, but not everybody does. And there's something kind of fun about everybody around the table starting with the same drink. So first I needed my game to meet all those. And then second, to match Eric's music, I wanted something sort of whimsical and something otherworldly and immersive. So I'm introducing the cocktail that I'm simply calling Board Game Night. All right, so let's go ahead and go through the steps of making the Board Game Night. So this is going to be one of my quickest and simplest cocktails I've ever made for the show, but that's so you can make the drink and get right back into the table. We're going to start with Cardinal Spirits down in Bloomington. We're going to start with their vodka for our local selection here. Now, if I was making this for me and some of my closer friends, I would put in 2 ounces of this vodka for the drink. There we go. Now, but here's the thing. You could do 1 ounce if it's somebody who doesn't drink a whole lot. You could do 0 ounces and just use the club soda and Torani we're about to do if there's somebody who doesn't want to drink at all or if you have kids that are playing with you. So this is a drink that you can very easily sort of match to whoever is at the table, and you can let everybody sort of have the experience together. So now that we've got our 2 ounces of vodka, we're just going to do, for me, I would do ½ an ounce of this Torani syrup. If you like things really sweet or have somebody at your table that likes things really sweet, you could do a little more, like a full ounce of this. As you can already tell, this is going to give it a very fun color. It's going to provide some sweetness, kind of a fun aroma, that sort of thing. And next, we're just simply going to top this with club soda. This will give us that effervescence that I was talking about in the music. It'll also sneakily hydrate your board game night guests to keep them from overindulging. I'm going to have to stir this a little bit. The Torani syrup does kind of sink to the bottom. As you can see, though, this is a really kind of, it looks very pretty and very fancy. This took me almost no time at all to put together. And the reason I like the tall glass is just sort of the way it fizzes and because I can pretend it's Star Wars or something. There we go. And now I am just going to top this with a cherry. You could just do a maraschino cherry. We are using these are actually moonshine cherries because that's just the cherries that we own. But really, it does not have to be an alcohol cherry. And that's just to put a little bit of fun color in it, as you can sort of watch it drip down the side of it. Okay. So there we have it, the very quick and easy board game night. You'll see that I could have made 4 of these in about the amount of time it take me to make one of these. So I could make a quick batch of these, get them back to the table, and keep the game going. The flavor, it's remarkably delicious and refreshing, actually. It's got a lot of club soda in it, but it's got that sweetness. I mean, it really tastes sort of like a boozy soda pop, but the blue color and this cherry floating in it sort of keeps it otherworldly and fun. It's a fun way to sort of cheers at the beginning of the night whenever you're playing any of these types of games that might be your choice for board game night. So, Classical Pairings is a listener-supported program. If you like what you hear, you can text PAIR, that's P-A-I-R, to 202-858-1233 so that we can bring you future episodes pairing classical music with great local craft food and beverage makers. I'd like to thank my challenger, Eric Salazar. You can find all of his gaming music on Spotify. Look for RPG Music Volumes 1 and 2. I'd like to thank our production assistant, Chloe Bolter, and our producer, Ezra Baker-Trupiano, for their great work, and of course, our friends at the National Bank of Indianapolis for their generous support. So, cheers, and I'll see you at Gen Con.